What's happening, guys? Kenny here again, and today I've got a bit of a response video to a tag that's going around. I was tagged by Tom Hosang Outdoors, which is a relatively new channel. Seems like a really cool younger dude, and he tagged me in this video about favorite handle materials, your number one favorite, and then your second favorite, and your least favorite. So, excuse me. In saying that, I'm taking this a bit of a different direction. And the reason for that is I've been pondering about this for about a week. Well, maybe even longer. Ever since he did his video, I've been kind of thinking about it. Like, how would I even approach that? And then the more I think about it, the more I actually don't have an answer. Believe it or not. So, in a sense, I thought, that doesn't mean I don't have an answer. That just means that my favorite and what I prefer all depends on application and when and where I'm going to be using the knife. So, I don't necessarily have a favorite. Although, if I'm really, like, if you were like, you only have one to use the rest of your life, obviously, I would probably make a decision then. In saying that, I'm just going to put 4 different types of knife handle blades, handle materials. And there are more, guys. There actually, you know what? There are more, and I'm going to bring them into play. Yeah, there are a lot of different handle materials, including like jig bone and all these things like antler, that are going to, I'm not even going to bring into the picture today because I don't have a lot of them. And it's not like my favorite handle material, antler and stuff like that, because it's not as durable as things like G10 and micarta and stuff like that. So in saying that, I'm going to go ahead and bring 4 different types of handle materials into the picture here. Just so you know, this is titanium. We got G10, micarta, and FRN. This is all backwards. It's okay. All right. So, this is all like, these are all pretty much your basic type handle materials that we see in knives today. There are more, but these are your basic, the top 4. And what I would say would be my top 4 anyways. These would be the top 4 for me, personally. Now, I'm going to kind of go into each one, and I'm going to talk about why I couldn't decide which one I like the most. And this is the reason. Because something like FRN, guys, even though it's not necessarily my favorite handle material, you know, it has that feel of, you know, like, not cheapness, but it's just not the most, like, confidence-inspiring material. In saying that, it is extremely durable, and it should inspire confidence because the odds of you breaking this thing are so slim. The plastic will flex before it breaks. So, well, I should say plastic, polymer, whatever. It's plastic, guys. Let's just be real. I mean, technically, G10 is just a really fancy plastic in a sense. Plastic is, it's a polymer. G10 uses resins. Plastic uses resins as well. It's a different resin. But G10 is essentially epoxy resin with fiberglass, and it's compressed. A lot of this is fiberglass reinforced nylon, essentially. So this is a good material, and it doesn't give you the most, you know, it doesn't feel like super fancy. It's not like a material I would take as a gentleman's folder. You know what I mean? If I'm talking gentleman's folder, that's where I'm like more into the titanium and stuff like that. Now, FRN has a lot of really good aspects about it. And if I'm taking a knife to work, this is actually a really good material as a work knife. It has good texture. It's not the most amazing feeling in hand. Like, it doesn't have that warmth like micarta or G10 does sometimes. It doesn't have that feel and that smoothness and just the quality feel in your hand. but it's a good material, and I can't say it's my least favorite because it all depends on what I'm doing. Not necessarily every day would I say FRN's my least favorite material. So, moving on to G10. G10, like I said, G10 is pretty much fiberglass. And when they lay up the fiberglass, they use epoxy resin, and then they compress everything to make it extremely dense and durable. It gets all the air pockets out. It just makes the material very dense. And G10 can be finished in different ways. This is a smooth G10 on a KnifeWorks exclusive pair of 3. Now, G10 can also be a little texture. This one's also smooth, actually. I happen to grab 2 freaking G10s that are smooth. Oh no, I got one here. Okay, so this one has some, this is what they call peel ply texture, guys. And what a peel ply texture, I think people often don't understand what peel ply is. When they say peel ply, there is another layer of, whether it be a plastic or something, or even when they compress it, it might be just on the other side of the plastic piece that's pressing. Because you need to use like something like a starboard or material that does not stick to epoxy resin. Plastics, a lot of plastics won't stick to epoxy resin unless it's sanded and has some grit to it. So when they compress the G10, there's this texture on the other side of what they have. They call this peel ply because when they peel off that piece of plastic, it leaves that texture. That's why they call it peel ply, guys. That's what peel ply is. And I think people think peel ply is just like a layer that they put on top. It's actually just it's an actual piece of plastic that they peel off that leaves the texture. That's why it's called peel ply. Just for reference, guys. And then on that, G10 just has a lot of different color options. You can go a lot of different directions with G10 because you just have to add pigment to the resin essentially, and it's going to turn whatever color you'd like. So G10 is a great material, and I think as a work knife, it's excellent. It doesn't show wear very well. It does, but it's not like, it still looks good, and you can always sand it. You could always just sand this and make it look better. FRN's really durable, but if you sand it, it's not going to look good. It's going to show it. Whereas G10, you could literally polish this back to this if you wanted it to. Okay, you would just sand this edge and then go through the grits back to whatever polish they did on this. And you could even polish it more, make it shiny. So, saying that, G10's a great material, guys. Excellent material. And in applications at work and stuff, I think it's amazing. And it's cool for doing like your own, modifications. Titanium, guys, another great material. Very strong. Stronger than steel in a lot of cases, and a lot of that is that the titanium's not as hard, so it'll bend and flex and go back to its original without being necessarily damaged or fatigued or compromised. So titanium's extremely strong. It's extremely rigid. When you squeeze on it, there's no flex at all. It's a very strong. Tom mentions that it's a very strong material that you can just squeeze on as much as you want. It's very durable. It does have that cold feeling in hand on cold days, which isn't ideal. And it's hard, guys. So if I have this knife in my pocket and I'm running around and bouncing off of things, this isn't going to do damage to what I'm hitting. It's not going to do damage to my wife's leg when we're laying there and on the couch or something. Whereas this, it's going to hurt. And if you fell, let's say I'm skateboarding or something and this is in my pocket and I hit the ground, this is not going to feel good hitting me. This is also going to show more damage and just be like a bit more, it's just going to show that fall much more likely than something like G10 or FRN. So in that way, titanium is just a little bit more delicate in a sense, even though it's not delicate. It's tougher, but it's more delicate in the sense of aesthetically. But in saying that, you can mod titanium. You can do a lot of things with titanium. The modding colors on titanium, they do go. There is a limit. Okay, you have You have bronze, purple, blue, green, silver, bronze, purple, blue, green, silver. You know what I mean? It's a progression that you're limited to what you can do. And there are some in-between colors like pink and like some blue greens and stuff like that, but you are limited to what you can do with titanium anodization. You would have to use a Cerakote or something like that if you're looking for another color out of it. Now, last but not least, guys, micarta. Now, if I was really like, if you were like, come on, Kenny, you gotta have a favorite, it would probably be micarta. Only because micarta is amazing in the sense of it's durable like G10. It's essentially made in the same way G10 is made, except you're using a fabric instead of fiberglass. So in saying that, it's not as durable or as tough as G10. If I'm just being straightforward, realistic. It's not as rigid and it's not as durable. But it takes, it feels so good in hand, guys. Micarta feels the best in hand when it comes to like just the tactile feel in your hand. It has a bit of a texture, but it's smooth. It's like, it's so hard to explain. It's warm, but it's soft, yet it's hard. It's just such a cool feel. And every time my hands are like a little sweaty right now, and if I touch it, you see all these little marks. Micarta changes as your hands get oil on the micarta. It changes color. Eventually, as Kurt starts to use this knife, you'll see his finger groove right here where his fingers are always touching. It'll darken right here where his palm's always touching. It ages with the knife well. It's durable, and it feels awesome. Micarta is a great material. And I will say, if I could choose one material, probably micarta would be it, except for the fact that micarta does flex. If we're talking comparison between G10 and micarta, I could go thinner with this handle material if it was G10, and it wouldn't flex. So that's the difference between micarta and G10 on a for the most part. And I don't necessarily, like, again, application, guys. If I needed this to be, like, for instance, the Super Freak with G10 scales, obviously you guys know I have that knife. That one's a little bit more confidence inspiring, just to be perfectly honest. This one does have a little bit of flex and stuff if I squeeze as hard as I can, you know what I mean? So that one is just a little bit more confidence inspiring as far as G10 versus micarta goes. But if you have liners, if you have full liners in here, and this is just micarta on top of liners, I'd prefer micarta all day long over G10. So I think it just depends on application, on the knife in general you're putting it on. Something like this, guys, this is titanium with micarta inlays, as Tom in his video had one of these. Yeah, best of both worlds in my opinion. You have the micarta for the touch and for the feel. It also fills the hand a little better. You do get the coldness of the titanium still underneath it. But yeah, you get that coolness factor of the micarta on top of a super strong, never gonna break type of material. So it's just a really nice knife and nice touch there. And again, I got another thing to bring in. I know Tom said something about this is what did he say? FRCP instead of FRN. I looked it up. I looked everywhere. I could not find the literature saying that the Colorado factory does FRCP and not Taichung, but the Seki City does FRN. They both say FRN on the Spyderco website, and pretty much everywhere I look says FRN, not FRCP. So I don't know where he got that info. Tom, you can let me know. But this FRN's a little different. Has different texturing, a little different feel. Like he says, this one sounds a little bit more plasticky. But this FRN from the Taichung factory is on kind of another level from that FRN. So really, really nice. So FRN can be nice as well. I don't necessarily think that FRN's horrible stuff. And that's just something to talk about. Because FRN, I mean, when you really look at these two, it's not that much different except for, you know, G10 kind of has that wood look because of the grain of the fiberglass. That's the fiberglass grain is what you're seeing there, guys, as you sand into it. So, yeah, just kind of a quick, relatively quick, guys, video about which handle materials I love. I really couldn't choose, and I kind of like them all. Another honorable mention, and something I feel like I should have talked about as well, is the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is another great handle material, and the benefits of carbon fiber are that it can be extremely thin, yet still very rigid. It's extremely durable and light. So carbon fiber can be an excellent material. And I mean, this is some beautiful carbon fiber as well. But carbon fiber is an excellent handle material. I didn't put it in my top 4 just because it's not as readily available. It's also more expensive. And, you know, to be honest, if I'm just talking about functionally, I like G10 probably just as much. Although sometimes, like, let's say you want to have like a really thin scale in some places, or for instance, when I did my like when I did those scales, when I did those when I did the pub scales, when I did the pub scales, it was such a thin scale that adding some carbon fiber in with the micarta actually helped make it more rigid. So if you're using it as like the only material and there's no liner, then I would say that carbon fiber could be a more ideal handle material to use. Like G10. G10 is pretty rigid as well, but carbon fiber is even more rigid. So just another honorable mention. I know it sounds like I'm a cop-out. It's a cop-out, but here's another one, guys. Wood handle material. I didn't talk about that, but you know, this is like a stabilized wood. Like they use resin to stabilize the wood. I do love that. I love it. Feels great in hand, nice and warm. It's an honorable mention for sure. Wood handles. But you have to have stabilized, because if you just do solid wood handles, guys, you end up with an issue of, you know, like it'll chip off. Like if you have grain, you know, it'll go with the grain and you'll end up having like this whole piece would just chip off. When you laminate wood with resin, then you can just shape it however you want, and it'll keep the strength and integrity. Otherwise, if you use solid wood, it would just chip off and break off, and it would also swell, and you know, all these things would happen with natural wood. So it's good to have like a stabilized wood. But I do love wood handles, and I would make stabilized wood handles for sure, because I could do it. I've laminated so many, you know, I've done this in the boats for sure many times. So yeah, just a great stuff, guys, all of them. I'm gonna bring that wood one in because it's an honorable mention. It's another great handle material. So sorry, guys, it's kind of a cop-out. I couldn't choose, so I just said, you know what, application, guys. Application is king in knives, and I think that each one holds their place in my heart. I would never want to choose one handle material for the rest of my life. If I had to, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And that's, I think, why I ended up just doing it like this, because I don't think I can make a choice on which one I love the most. They're all great. Anyways, thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I am going to tag a few guys, even though I know, I kind of know what they're going to answer. Gerald from Outpost 76, I'm tagging you. And then Banner 24/7. Banner 24/7, I'm tagging you too. And I think you guys are going to be on the opposite sides of the spectrum. So I'm kind of curious to see what you guys have. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a great day.